I want you to imagine, just for a second, building a relationship with someone for 2, maybe even 3 years.
Right. A long time.
Yeah, a really long time. And you talk to them every single day. You know their childhood fears. You know their exact coffee order. You share your deepest
You're
secrets.
basically planning a whole life together.
Exactly. You spend countless hours planning this beautiful future. But now I want you to take a deep, honest breath and imagine discovering that the person you are so deeply in love with doesn't actually exist.
Which is terrifying.
It's completely devastating, or at least, I mean, the version of them that lives on your screen doesn't exist in the real world. So today we are wading into what I think is one of the most vulnerable, just high-stakes arenas you can find on the internet.
Oh, absolutely.
We're talking about the digital border.
Absolutely.
Specifically, we're taking a deep dive into the really complex dynamic of intercultural online dating.
Hmm.
And we're focusing on when a Filipina dates a foreign man, which is commonly referred to in the Philippines as an AFAM.
It's an incredibly precarious space.
Mm.
Because when you're separated by thousands of miles of ocean, I mean, the primary and sometimes the only way you connect is through this glowing rectangle in your hand.
Right.
The screen essentially becomes the entire relationship.
And that screen is exactly what makes this so dangerous. Because of that massive geographic distance, it is dangerously easy to, fall head over heels for a carefully curated profile.
You're falling for a highly edited version of a person.
Totally. You fall for the soothing voice on a late-night call, the collection of sweet texts, all these grand promises, but you do all of that without ever once stepping foot inside his actual physical daily life.
Because your brain naturally fills in the gaps.
Yeah. It creates this idealized version of him because you only see what he actively chooses to show you.
Which brings us to the real mission of today's deep dive.
Mm-hmm.
We are taking the source material, and we're using it to systematically strip away all those polite excuses.
No more excuses.
Exactly. We're dissecting the mechanics of intent. So today is about identifying the clinical, observable signs that a man is essentially keeping you in what the sources call a reserve compartment.
Oh, just the phrase reserve compartment gives me chills.
It's harsh, but it's real. It's treating a human being as an on-demand digital utility. But we aren't just looking at the shadows today. We're also going to break down the concrete, undeniable green flags that prove he is actually putting real skin in the game.
Which I love, by the way. I'm so glad we're looking at both sides because to recognize a true structural partner, we first have to understand the mechanics of how people get trapped on what the sources call the digital bench.
The digital bench, yes.
And the absolute first, the most glaring red flag we found deals with the very nature of your digital intimacy. We have to talk about the release-only video call.
Oh, this is a critical behavioral pattern. It's really one of the very first things the sources tell you to look for when you're evaluating any international online dynamic.
Right, like you have to really analyze the rhythm of your video calls with him. Does he only seem motivated, like truly eager and enthusiastic to jump on a live camera when he needs a sexual release?
It's a very specific spike in energy.
Yes. Does his energy suddenly peak when it's time to satisfy his immediate physical urges? But then, the absolute second you want to pivot the conversation to, your day or your stress at the office or your family.
The energy just vanishes.
It totally vanishes. His replies suddenly drop into these dry, delayed, just completely disconnected text messages.
Because it's the stark contrast in his communication style that reveals his true intent.
Yeah.
I mean, he's highly engaged when his needs are being met and entirely disengaged when you require emotional support.
Okay, let's unpack this for a second, though, because let me play devil's advocate here. I can totally hear someone listening to this right now and thinking, well, maybe he just has a really high sex drive.
Sure, that's a common defense.
Right. Or maybe physical touch is his primary love language. And since they're literally oceans apart, this is kind of his only way to express that intimacy. I mean, are we being too harsh by automatically assuming he's using her as an on-demand utility?
What's fascinating here is that the sources are extremely clear on this distinction. A healthy sex drive within a real relationship is reciprocal.
Reciprocal, okay.
Right, it exists alongside emotional curiosity.
Yeah.
But what we're talking about here is pure compartmentalization.
Wow.
A man operating a release-only dynamic isn't building a partnership at all. He is leveraging your empathy and your body to cure his own loneliness from across the ocean.
That is so dark.
It is. The screen acts as this perfect, impenetrable barrier. It allows him to securely lock the actual relationship, like the emotional heavy lifting, the daily support, completely out of his life.
It's honestly like treating a human being like a digital convenience app.
That's a great way to put it.
Like ordering a late night pizza on your phone, right? You get exactly what you want to feel full, and then you just force close the app until you happen to be hungry again.
Yep. You just put the phone away.
Exactly. He gets the girlfriend experience on a screen, but completely opts out of being a real boyfriend in the real world.
Precisely. The psychology behind it is incredibly selfish.
Yeah.
I mean, he gets the warmth, the validation, the physical release of a partner without carrying any of the structural responsibilities.
None of them.
None. And if his physical intimacy is that heavily guarded, you will almost always find that his logistical daily life is guarded in the exact same way.
Oh, this leads right into the daily routines.
Exactly. This flows directly into how manipulators weaponize their daily routines to keep that digital wall entirely intact.
The weaponization of the daily routine. Honestly, this part of the research drove me crazy.
It's frustrating to read.
It is so frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
The sources outline these shields that men use to keep their partners at arm's length. And the two biggest ones are the privacy shield and the busy career excuse.
Let's start with privacy.
Let's do it. You know the exact drill. He texts you intensely, like good morning paragraphs, good night messages, checking in on what you had for dinner. But it is exclusively happening on private encrypted apps.
WhatsApp, Viber, Telegram.
Right, all the private ones. But the moment you go look at his public social media profiles, you are a ghost.
You completely don't exist.
You literally don't exist. There are no pictures. There are no relationship status updates, no casual comments, and you have certainly never been introduced via a video call to his friends or his family.
And when the partner naturally confronts him about this total lack of public integration, the universal, almost scripted defense is always, well, I'm just a very private person.
Yes, I'm just private.
I don't like putting my life on the internet.
Which, I mean, on the surface, that sounds incredibly reasonable until you actually stop to analyze it.
Because we have to clarify the vital difference here between privacy and secrecy.
Right.
They are profoundly different concepts, even though manipulators use them interchangeably all the time.
So what's the difference, according to the sources?
Well, privacy is protecting your bank account routing numbers. Privacy is keeping your password secure or, choosing not to broadcast your medical history to your coworkers.
That makes sense.
But keeping a human being hidden in a secret compartment on your phone for 2 years, that isn't privacy. That is secrecy.
It's hiding a whole second life.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
In the realm of international dating, when a man insists on total digital secrecy, he is very often covering up a real-world reality.
Oh, wow.
The screen enables a double life perfectly because there's zero risk of spontaneous physical overlap.
Because you're in a different country.
Exactly. He might be hiding a local girlfriend or even a marriage and kids in his home country. He enjoys the ego boost and the emotional safety net that the overseas partner provides, but he keeps the digital wall up so his real-world life remains completely undisturbed.
That is just wild. Which brings us to the second shield, and I have to push back on this one for a second because it's so frustratingly common.
The busy career.
The busy career excuse. He says, my job is just incredibly demanding right now. The corporate stress is eating me alive. I'm working 80-hour weeks.
It's a very convenient shield.
But let me challenge the sources for a minute.
Yeah.
Because people do get incredibly busy. If a guy is genuinely running a startup or working as a high-level executive, shouldn't we cut him some slack? Like, is it fair to call him a manipulator just because he's drowning in work?
It's an excellent question.
Yeah.
But the sources point out the mathematical absurdity of this excuse when you actually look at his behavioral pattern.
Mathematical absurdity.
Yes, because it's the nuance between having time and making time.
Here's where it gets really interesting, right? Because men can literally build corporate empires.
Right.
They run global multi-million-dollar industries. They manage hundreds of employees. But somehow they cannot find 5 minutes to file a single piece of visa paperwork.
Exactly.
They can't find 30 seconds while waiting for an elevator to text and see if you're okay after a bad day.
The math simply doesn't add up. If a man has enough free time to call you for an hour-long video chat when he wants a physical release, he undeniably has enough time to integrate you into his schedule.
Yes.
If his career is perpetually the barrier to setting a hard calendar date to finally meet in person, it is not because he is a victim of his own success. It is because delaying the relationship is his active, calculated choice.
The screen gives him the ultimate alibi.
Exactly.
He's actively choosing the delay. And what's wild is how they handle it when you finally call them out. When you confront a man about these endless logistical delays, he rarely just leaves.
No, they don't leave.
Instead, the sources show they trap you in this infinite loop of abstract promises. They become sudden poets.
The linguistic shift here is fascinating. They use cinematic language to just buy more time.
Yes, it's always, someday we will travel the world together.
Just wait a little longer.
I'll build you a beautiful house by the ocean. I mean, it sounds like a romantic movie script. But notice what happens the very second you try to pivot from that poetry to actual logistics.
The reality check.
Right. The moment you ask a concrete, dry question like, okay, that sounds amazing, so which month are you booking your flight? Or what are the exact legal steps we need to take for my fiancé visa? He stalls. He freezes.
And the shift in his demeanor is usually immediate. He goes from being incredibly romantic to incredibly defensive.
It's unbelievable. I was literally laughing in disbelief reading this part of the research. The absolute audacity of this defense mechanism.
It's aggressive,
It
honestly.
is. He will actually flip the script on you. You ask for a flight date, and suddenly he accuses you of being transactional.
Right, you're ruining the magic.
Yes. He tells you that you are rushing things or ruining the romance. Suddenly you're the bad guy for just asking for a timeline.
But if we connect this to the bigger picture, you have to understand this isn't just a random emotional outburst on his part.
What do you mean?
Well, the sources deeply analyze the cultural manipulation happening here. He is actively banking on the Filipino cultural concept of Titus.
Oh, wow. Okay, for those who might not know, Titus basically translates to endurance, right? Or like bearing with hardship without complaint.
Correct. It is a deeply ingrained cultural value in the Philippines. It's about the nobility of suffering, the willingness to endure immense sacrifice for the people you love.
Which is a beautiful trait.
It is. But manipulators who date internationally are often very aware of these cultural traits.
Oh, that's so manipulative.
He is hoping that you will practice Titus indefinitely.
Yeah.
He wants you to endure the waiting, to endure the distance, and to suffer in silence while he feeds you absolutely nothing but emotional breadcrumbs.
He's weaponizing it.
Yes, he is weaponizing your patience and your cultural loyalty completely against you.
He takes your absolute best qualities, your patience, your loyalty, your resilience, and he twists them into his own personal safety net. I mean, that is just insidious.
It really is.
Okay, let's take a breath here.
Yeah, that was heavy.
It was. We have fully dismantled the illusions of the digital bench. We know exactly what the shadows look like. We know how the screen enables them. So, let's pivot to reality.
Good idea.
Because if the red flags are all about keeping the relationship floating up in the cloud, the green flags are about grounding it in cold, hard reality.
Exactly. When a foreign man is genuinely, structurally serious about a long-term future with you, he completely smashes those digital walls.
Okay, no walls.
There is zero secrecy. He becomes an entirely open book.
Okay, so if those are the shadows, what does the light actually look like? If a guy is genuinely serious, how does that translate to, just a random Wednesday? What is he actively doing differently that proves he has skin in the game?
Well, it means you never have to play detective. You know his exact workplace. You know his physical address.
No hiding.
None. He willingly takes his phone around his house. He introduces you to his dog, his roommates, his family. He casually integrates you into his daily routine.
That sounds so healthy.
It is. But crucially, and this is a big one, he is the one who initiates the dry, unromantic, legal conversations.
Wait. You're saying he initiates talks about visas and legalities?
Yes, absolutely.
Because the sources mention things like premarital agreements, asset structures, immigration laws as green flags. And I just have to ask, why?
I know, it sounds strange.
It sounds like a corporate business merger. It sounds so clinical. Why on earth are the sources pointing to dry legal bureaucracy as the ultimate romantic gesture?
It sounds clinical, sure, but it is profound because of what it represents.
Okay, what does it represent?
A fantasy requires no paperwork. Anyone can type sweet words on a phone. But actively preparing for the real legal integration of two human lives across international borders, that requires immense heavy lifting.
And it fundamentally changes the power dynamic, doesn't it?
Absolutely. International dating inherently involves massive power imbalances, specifically regarding visas and currency.
Because visas literally determine your life.
Yes. Visas determine where you have the legal right to live, work, and exist. Asset structures determine if you are protected if something goes wrong.
Right.
So when he initiates these conversations, he is proving that he isn't just selling you a dream, He is building a legally binding protective reality.
That makes total sense.
Furthermore, this level of structural seriousness highlights what the sources call the death of the savior complex.
Oh, let's expand on this savior complex, because it is huge in the context of an AFAM dating a Filipina. The sources are very, very critical of men who go looking for someone to save.
And rightfully so.
Mm-hmm.
A serious partner does not have a savior complex. He isn't scouring international dating apps looking for a desperate, financially dependent girl that he can easily control using his currency advantage.
Because that exchange rate is a real factor.
The exchange rate between the dollar, the euro, and the peso creates a massive inherent advantage.
Right. A toxic man uses that currency advantage to literally buy submissiveness. Like, he might send money or buy gifts, but the absolute second you have an argument or you dare to disagree with him about anything, he weaponizes it.
He brings up the money.
He brings it up.
Yeah.
He treats his financial support like an invoice that you now owe him in the form of obedience.
Precisely. But a serious man views his financial resources entirely differently.
How so?
Well, if you are a career-driven professional, maybe you're a teacher advancing through your ranks, or a nurse, or you run your own online business, a serious partner celebrates that independence.
He's not threatened by it.
Not at all. He treats you as an intellectual and financial peer. His resources are viewed as a protective shield for his partner and his future family. They are never weaponized as a tool for control.
And that deep respect for your career and your independence, I mean, it naturally bleeds into how he respects your home country, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Because there is a massive difference between a man treating the Philippines like this cheap vacation playground and a man who is actually stepping into your real world.
The sources talk about this. They call it the transition from being a tourist to becoming a partner.
And you see this so vividly in how he handles the physical realities and the inconveniences of travel.
Yes. When a serious partner visits, he doesn't throw a tantrum over the tropical heat.
Or the infamous Manila traffic.
Right, or a Sutter brownout.
Yeah.
He inherently understands that complaining endlessly about the infrastructure of your home is a direct insult to you and your lived reality.
Yeah, he respects the culture that built the woman he loves. And crucially, he respects the family dynamics.
That is so important.
Let's talk about that family dynamic, because in the Philippines, the family unit is everything. It's so central.
It really is.
And often, the woman is helping support her extended family. She's sending money back home. A toxic guy will try to isolate her, right? He'll demand she cut them off to focus solely on him. But how does a serious partner handle it?
A mature partner engages in respectful, forward-looking discussions. He doesn't try to isolate you.
That's a huge green flag.
Exactly. Instead, he sits down and helps establish healthy financial boundaries for the extended family. He ensures that your future nuclear home together is secure, but he does it with deep cultural empathy and respect for your obligations.
It's the ultimate alignment of words and actions. To me, honestly, the ultimate proof of love in this digital dynamic isn't poetry at all. It's logistical execution.
Logistical execution.
I like that.
Yeah.
He refuses to let the relationship just exist in a WhatsApp chat for years on end. He puts his own time and his own resources on the line. He sets a hard calendar date.
He books the flight.
He books the ticket. He flies into your reality, and when he lands, he doesn't just whisk you away to isolate you in some five-star tourist bubble in Boracay.
No, he wants the real life.
He wants to sit on the couch in your living room. He wants to shake your father's hand. He wants to see the local market where you buy your groceries. He wants to marry your authentic reality, not a romanticized vacation aesthetic.
That is the very definition of having real skin in the game. Closing a massive geographic distance requires stepping completely out of his comfort zone and immersing himself in his partner's actual world.
Which brings us to the ultimate synthesis of all the sources we've unpacked today.
The turning point.
The turning point. If you are listening to this right now and you're suddenly recognizing some of those red flags we talked about, the private apps, the release-only calls, the endless busy excuses, the research points to one fundamental takeaway.
And it's a hard truth.
It is. In the digital dating world, a delay is a decision. Let me say that again because it's so important. A delay is a decision. Mixed signals always mean no.
If he is hiding behind privacy, shielding himself with his corporate career, and only utilizing your connection for his own physical or emotional validation, he has already shown you exactly where you stand in his hierarchy.
You are a reserve option. He doesn't want to let you go because your attention feels good. Your loyalty warms him up.
But he will never step up.
No. Because he wants to keep his real-world doors open. But here's the most empowering insight drawn directly from these sources. Sovereign independence changes what you tolerate.
Yes.
When you recognize that you are a high-value, equal partner, you stop accepting being treated as an on-demand utility for someone else's loneliness.
Walking away from a dynamic that requires endless waiting in tight advances is not a loss. It is an act of self-preservation.
Absolutely. So the next time he calls, shift the dynamic. Demand low context clarity. Ask for a hard timeline. Ask to see his daily life.
Put him to the test.
Exactly. And if he steps up with humility and a plane ticket, fantastic. But if he stalls, if he makes excuses, gets defensive, or tries to punish you with silence, let him walk.
You didn't lose a partner.
You just closed the door on someone who was actively wasting your prime years. You reclaimed your own time.
This raises an important question, though, and I really want to leave you with this to ponder long after we wrap up this deep dive.
I'm listening.
We've established that poetry and cinematic promises are largely empty in this digital space. But if a partner's willingness to enthusiastically tackle dry, unromantic legal paperwork and frustrating logistical planning is actually the ultimate proof of their love, how does that fundamentally rewrite the fairy tales we've all been sold about what true romance looks like in the modern age?
Wow. That is such a powerful thought to end on. True romance isn't a heavily filtered photo or a poetically typed message at 2 a.m. It's a booked flight and a completed visa application.
It's the paperwork.
It's the messy physical reality, not the safety of the digital border. Keep that in mind and demand reality. We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.